Hello, everybody. It's nice to be here. It's my first time and I'm going to be a bit nervous, so please excuse me. Welcome to my presentation called Fiction and Reality within the Picturebook Experience, a game of hide and seek. Before I start the presentation, I would like to introduce myself. I'm Roxana. I'm a PhD student. I'm interested in Picturebook studies. I've been around Picturebooks for 12 years as a literary agent, and I'm also a collector of Picturebooks in foreign languages and an occasional translator. When I first thought about this theme, I thought, of course, fiction and reality oppose each other and they also complement each other, but most importantly, they have an easiness of transforming from one into the other. And I thought that there are three pillars that support this interplay. One is suspension of disbelief. So the reader trusts the author and enters his world as a temporary believer of its laws, events, and consequences, allowing himself to be immersed in realities that may be both thrilling and uncomfortable for him. So Umberto Eco spoke about this suspension of disbelief a lot. The second pillar is the theory of make-believe, and I found Kendall Walton's theory and books interesting. Engagement with works of art and fiction relies on make-believe participation. The use of props is important for enhancing creativity, imagination, and pretend play for both children and adults. They act as transitional objects between reality and fiction. And last but not least, magical thinking is very important when talking about children, because the experience of childhood is strongly shaped by magical thinking, which enables children to become fully immersed in stories and games. The boundaries between fiction and reality become very permeable. And Jean Piaget is one of the authors that spoke about magical thinking in his works. To me, this interplay of the transformation between fiction and reality seems somehow like a game of hide and seek, where the reader is the one that is seeking throughout the pages elements of fiction and reality and different features, in words, in visual elements, in flaps, so materials, and the materiality of the book. Also, the perspective of the story is also revealing or not revealing. Of course, a character will know less about the story than the narrator, and the author, of course, will know more about everybody than everybody else. For my presentation, I chose 4 books from different corners of the world. I will start with the first one, which is written by Singaporean authors. It's called Karunguni Boy. As you can see, the cover on the right and the spread on the left. So this book has been created through a collage, and I will speak about this later. I found it very appealing for children and also for adults. Sorry, you want to take a picture? Yeah. The author and illustrators also created an installation after creating this book, so this was very interesting and engaging for children as well. So the first element that is to be looked at for this interplay is the title. Karunguni means nothing to us because we don't have a Singaporean experience of day-to-day life, but it's actually a man that collects rubbish and or money. We have something like this in Romania, but there are gypsies going about the neighborhood yelling with strong voices that they want to collect old iron. This is my childhood experience, but this doesn't happen anymore nowadays, so children don't know anything about this. There is a short definition offered at the end of the book, but I feel that this helps the reader have a more magical experience of reading the book, because they later find out what a Karunguni man is, and they just imagine what he is during the reading. So the 3 main aspects of fiction reality interplay in this book are of course the Karunguni man, which is a real person that inspires a fictional Karunguni boy, which doesn't exist, so children don't go to collect rubbish from door to door. Also, the way the book is created by using real materials that are sketched fictionally, they become props. Then these props are put into a setting to create a fictional story. Then they are photographs, so photographs are also real, but they're representations. And then all the photographs are collected in a picture book, which again is another layer of building this 2D and 3D. And last but not least, you have the installation, which is another creation in itself. So these steps I found to be very interesting in terms of fiction and reality, transforming one into the other. And of course, the message of the book is not that anything you collect can be transformed into a functional robot, but so it doesn't teach children this, that you can do this, but it teaches them that with a bit of imagination, you can create unexpected things with materials around the world. So I found this very interesting as a fiction reality interplay. The second book is called The Noisy Paint Box, and someone referred to Kandinsky earlier, so here I go with Kandinsky again. I love this book very much because it's very colorful and engaging. Of course, the book has the story of a real man, but the dialogue is fictional, so again we have this interplay. And the book is focused on his synesthesia, which is not known by everybody, and especially children don't know about this neurological condition. So when a child looks at this book, he finds that if you paint and hear music, when you play with colors, it feels like very magical, which of course is not, because it's just a neurological condition. And again, this is explained at the end of the book, so that the children that read or are being read to can have this sense of magic and think, wow, will I be able to hear music if I start painting like Kandinsky? So this is very, again, this is another way of playing with fiction and reality. The third book is The House of Happy Spirits. It's about Hundertwasser. I loved in this book the fact that there's a strong discrepancy between the black and white town, as you can see on the cover, which is dull, town is dull, and the building site for the house, which becomes colorful, and also the flower shop from where you take seeds to the site so you can plant vegetation is also colorful. So this is this contrast also helps create the magical feel for the children, because they think it's like a fairyland or something like that. Also, Hundertwasser was very advanced for his times, so his fictional ideas, his imagination of such a building was actually put into practice because of his perseverance and ideas. So this also teaches children that some fictional or imagined things, sketches, plans, projects can become reality if you have the necessary means to do that. Also, of course, at the end of the book, as with the other books, the Hundertwasser building is explained. There are photos that show the actual building, but again, until you reach that final page, as a child, you might think that it's magical to create such a wonderful building in reality, and also this might feel like an impossible thing. But adults can explain to children the fact that there's a lot of hard work behind putting something that seems magical and impossible at first into practice. And the last book is called The First Journey. It's from Vietnam, and I have this book in Vietnamese because I wanted the original. The first thing that I liked in this book was the reference to Hokusai's wave, and I spoke to the authors via Facebook, and they confirmed this is actually a reference. So this is another way of putting small real elements into fiction, just reinterpreting a work of art. So this book is basically about a boy that goes to school by boat. And if you don't take a look at the cultural context, so that the authors are from Vietnam and they are depicting a day-to-day Vietnamese experience, you would think that it's highly unlikely because children go to school by bus or by car in most parts of the world. But if you know more about this culture, you understand that this is a reality for them. So in South Vietnam, when you have the flood season, the water rises and children and also adults have to do their shopping and going to school and work by boat. Of course, they go into collectives. They don't go alone, as it's depicted in the book. You will later see at the end of the presentation more from this book. It's a simple journey from home to school, but it's full of dangers: alligators, storms, huge waves, rain, and so on. So this is not usually happening in a day-to-day experience of a child, but his emotions toward the possible dangers of the journey are exaggerated in order to mirror his inner feelings. So this is another way of using fiction to build on reality so that you can help children maybe cope more with their emotions about certain events. And of course, at the end of the book, you are also explained again what's happening in Vietnam with the flood season and why are children going by boat and so on. I thought this would be a first level of experiencing picture books in terms of finding fiction and reality. So actually 2 layers. The first is when you experience the book as it is without explanation. The second would be where the adult comes and explains some features so that you get a better sense of what is fictional and not. And the third one would be an approach, a visual approach, which is more hands-on. And I use the concept of transient art to take to storytelling. So transient art is when you collect loose parts like cones, sticks, stones, and whatever, and you use them to create movable artistic expressions, which are impermanent because you will ruin them later. Also, the combinations are infinite because you can always bring more elements into the collection. And of course, it's engaging because you use your hands to create these things. So it's a sort of celebration of here and now because you use what you have here and you enjoy it now and later it's gone. So I try to import concepts from this transient art to what I call transient storytelling. It's not maybe the best term, but props become loose parts. The pages of the book become a surface. Of course, nothing is fixed. You don't ruin the book by gluing things on the page, as you will later see. Everything moves and combines in infinite ways. So transient storytelling gives children the opportunity to play with fiction and reality themselves, using the original story as support. They use 2D props drawn, colored and cut by them, made out of paper, for example. They place them anywhere on the page and recreate the story by going from page to page. The original story becomes the reality of the book, while children's props bring new elements of fiction. Props are material, so they are real, but they create branches of fiction rooted in the original story. As they are not copies, each new story becomes an alternate universe of the original. So Picturebook has multiple realities. This visual technique empowers children to become co-creators of their reading experience. After having read the story, they can feel free to be creative and practice storytelling. Working with props in this process helps them have an embodied experience. They touch the props from start to finish. They create and move them around. They combine them and elaborate meaning in conjunction with the original thread of fiction. The story is temporary and they learn how to start over and over. And I used the story in the first journey. I created small props like a map and those fish. And because this story is in Vietnamese, you don't know, you only have the visual narrative, so you can create on that. I just imagined, instead of a boy going to school by boat, I imagined a treasure hunt by boat. So this boy has a map and the fish lead the way. I couldn't photograph the whole book because it's big, but I have a few slides. So the fish lead the way and the boy is going in their direction, and sometimes the fish lose their way because there are a lot of dangers. You can see on the sky the sun and the moon, and I tried to suggest the presence of the mother and the father as emotional support for the boy's journey. And of course, the fish are, as the boy, trying to find their way also. And finally, some bulls help the boy retrieve the treasure from the water, and they bring it to the surface. Of course, the parents are symbolically present, and the boy pets a bull and brings the treasure into his boat. And then he meets his friends and goes to school, and everything goes back to normal. Yes, so my idea is that you can take this picture book experience to a next level with children, because they love to create things, and it teaches them more about what kind of fictional elements they can hide in the story, and then just they can do this by themselves, and then the adult can come and try to guess what the child wanted to express. It's fine, I'm finishing right now. No. Thank you in the 4 languages of the book.